So fine. So we'll go through the model 7 again, like the demo part for development and deployment of new features. Okay. Before we go there, I think we'll just go to the landscape one. Okay. So we are here in Cloud ALM implementation. Okay. We'll go to projects and setup. Okay. Great. So this is the topic we are choosing. Okay. So this is my project. So from here I will go to project and setup. So if you come to more, so you see here is the deployment landscape, which will consist of your deployment plan and system groups. Okay, so we'll just cover. So basically, once you have created your project, so the project has to have a context in the sense like this project is supposed to run on which set of systems, right? What system? Like when we are doing the scoping, we are trying to select the business processes or the scenarios which will be part of our project. So those business process scenarios are actually are like supposed to run or get implemented on a set of systems, right? It could be one system or multiple set of system, right? So the project has to have a context in terms of the systems which are involved in that project. So that system, where do we define? So that comes in the deployment landscape. You can say it landscape management, deployment landscape, right? So within deployment landscape, we have to assign a deployment plan, and the deployment plan will have a system group. Okay, so system group is nothing but a system, a product line, like an S4 HANA private cloud, S4 HANA public cloud, an S4 HANA on-prem, an Ariba, a SuccessFactor, a Concur, C4C, DataSphere, an IBP, whatever. But and again, a deployment plan, within a deployment plan, you'll have system groups. So you can have multiple system groups, but one system group will only cater to one product line. Product line would be one product, right? It could not be, it is not like I'll show you when I create it that way. So the system group will cater to one product line. So in that sense, like what you are doing is like when you're defining the deployment landscape for a project, you are actually telling it, okay, this is the deployment plan. So deployment plan, within deployment plan you have the system groups, basically telling that within this project my systems would be, which will be part the scope, which will be part of this project, are these particular system groups or systems, you can say that, right? So if I come here, deployment plan, I'll go to deployment plan. Okay, let's suppose first create a system group. Okay, I'll create a system group. I'll give test sys grp underscore 11th March. Okay, which product I shall choose? I'll choose application server ABAP. Okay, yes. So now, so this is the title, this is the product, like which product, which system would be part of your project, right? So you choose that. Then depending on your the landscape, you can have multiple either of these 5 set of systems, right? Startup preview system, I've already told that SAP these days provides a startup preview system, maybe to run your demo, right? It's like a pre-configured with pre-populated data for maybe if you can have it as for HANA Cloud private public edition, right? So they give you a startup preview system and for cloud solution, which you can use to run your demo and whatever, right? So it's more of a to feel, to see and look and feel, right? So once that is done, after that you will have your development system quality, pre-pod production. So development, probably you will have one system only, right? Quality, you can have multiple systems, just like maybe for you want to use for UAT, you want to use quality one system, another for maybe for later on for mock run or for regression testing, for whatever, right? Similarly for pre-pod, you may want to have multiple system there. Okay, so we'll try. Okay, so we'll have to choose something else because applications. Okay, now you will say, okay, I have chosen application server app. Now when I click on here, I'm getting just one system, right? TST 200, right? So from where is this coming, right? And if I choose something else, let's suppose I choose.
Here you defining the system landscape. That's all right.
Sorry.
Here you defining the system landscape, right? Project system landscape.
Right. Project system landscape.
Okay. Any processes that integrated with this landscape, your task and whatever we defined earlier, those are integrated with this landscape.
Those will get in. It's like a loose company. It's not like, because those tasks are system independent, right? Like if you want to create a project plan, it doesn't have to have it doesn't more or less change depending on what systems are there in your scope, right? it would depend on, like, suppose you have chosen like
My question is, see, there are 10 tasks which we define in the system for development or quality. So those 10 are integrated with the quality or any other system, or just we are defining the landscape in the ALM.
for now we are just defining the landscape.
So
We have
there
not
is no
integrated.
integration, right? Your task just is a landscape.
Yeah, just a landscape. Yeah, no integration. Yeah. Yeah. So let's say for HANA Cloud we have multiple. Now you will see, okay, from where these systems are coming, these many entries are coming, right? So these are coming from the so these systems are coming from the landscape management of Cloud ALM. Okay. You remember, if we go to administration, we have this landscape management, right? So here all these systems which you are supposed to be, part of your project, or eventually will be part of your project, you have to make sure that they are available in the landscape management app of Cloud ALM. So for cloud solutions, it comes automatically as soon as you onboard your any cloud solution and you have a Cloud ALM tenant. So it comes automatically. For on-prem systems, you have to like run one-time activity. There's a T code SDF/ALM underscore setup. There you just have to just maintain the details of your Cloud ALM tenant. You have to maintain a user which will be required for sending data from the managed system to the Cloud ALM. So once that is done, then your system is available in landscape management, and then it will show up here. Otherwise, it won't show up. The systems have all the system whichever we see here are part of the landscape management here, right? So if I come here, what I've chosen is for HANA Cloud. Let me see.
Okay, so then you mean to say, for example, there is the fourth one, SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Can you just scroll a bit down?
In this screen. Yeah.
Not this one, the previous one.
Okay.
The app which you opened, in that the screen behind the pop-up, select a scope.
Yeah.
It's not loading much.
This you can see, no? The landscape management screen.
No, it is still in this stuck in select a scope. Now, yes, correct. Yeah, now I got it.
Yeah.
So you are saying that these systems are pre-configured in this landscape management app, right?
Yeah. For all cloud solution, it's not pre-configured like the data or the connection automatically, because see, Cloud ALM sits on BTP, and all your cloud solutions also sit on BTP. So they come into the information is just shared with Cloud ALM, so it comes automatically. So
okay, so if it is there, I mean, if it is available here, then only we can do in the system grouping, right?
Right. Then
if it's not available here, we cannot do that.
No, yeah, it won't show up here in this list.
Okay, yeah, fine, understand.
Yeah. So like it's like when it's similar to like you can only access this system. The systems are there, but if you want to access the systems, those entries have to be there in the SAP GUI Launchpad, right, or in your Fury catalog page, right? So either similarly the entries have to be there in this landscape management. This is like on a Cloud ALM level. You within landscape management, you have to have whichever systems you want or should be part of you. Those have to be here. So for cloud solutions, you don't have to do anything additional, nothing you have to do. It will come automatically once you have onboarded your Cloud ALM tenant. You have onboarded, and also your application, that particular application out there you have onboarded. You have your tenants created, development quality prod tenants created, and the onboarding has started, and it's there it shows up in your that in cloud within your customer, right, page. So then it will come automatically. You don't have to do anything. But for on-prem systems, it could be an ABAP system as for HANA, in OEC system, that you have to just run one set of or a one-time activity which will create the destination from that on-prem system to your Cloud ALM through BTP, so that the data is there, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, understood. Thanks.
So now I can give it, if you want, if you have a starter system, right, a previous system, if you are mostly everyone these days is going with startup preview, because if you get it free and if you have a system where you can run the demos with the customer before actually going into a development and trying to run, because it comes with all the standard it's like a system built on SAP standard as for HANA Cloud, with all the modules, everything, whichever is part of S for HANA Cloud is part of, or you can have it for Concur, IBP, for C4C, for all you'll get a starter's preview system, which is like it comes with pre-configured data, everything. Like it's more of like a system, just that there's no customization. All SAP standard workflows and functionalities are there, so you can run your demos with your customer, or before even the project initiation you can start, you for your own familiarity or your own pre-work before the actual work starts, you have a take a look at it and use it. Okay, I'll assign a development system. Okay, again it gives you an option that in case you can have multiple development systems, like just but so you can have multiple quality systems as well. 3.1, I'll select one production system. Okay, so now my system group is completed. Okay, just so now system groups cannot be directly like system group again is like you have just created a grouping of your system, right? But now this grouping or the system group has to be assigned to a deployment plan, right? Then only the context will come. So let's suppose I want to create. Okay.
Special character required to start for a deployment flow? Is there a necessity to have any special character for a deployment?
No.
Because last week when I was trying, I was not able to find this deployment. Whatever I created, I was not able to find it. And later on, when I put a special character in front of the deployment plan, then only it was coming in the drop down.
Actually, the problem. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it could be that whatever you created has come down at the end of the list, right? And there is a bug or something with the Cloud ALM that you can't see, more than 100 or 500 deployment plans at one go, and so that's why you're not able to find your plan if you don't remember the exact name.
No, even I tried to type it, I could not find it. While assigning this deployment plan in this project, I could not find it. Then later on, when I created something with like I think underscore or at the rate or something, then I was able to. It was
no. Okay, so it
maybe,
is
yeah, just say.
Yeah, no, it is just that there are so many, if you see there are 357 active deployment plans, right? And if you come down, probably it's not 300, it's not showing all the deployment plans. So it's just that it is there is a limit or something in there that only these many deployment plans can be seen or can be selected. So that's why when you choose underscore, your deployment plans come at the first of that's why you can see it, right? So that is it's not because in your project, when in your Cloud ALM tenant, for sure there won't be 300 deployment plans. At max there will be 10, 20 deployment plans. So it's just that a bug in the the how it views the or how it lists the deployment plans. So that's why you're not able to. So it's nothing to do with any your naming conventions or anything, right?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. So let's sign. See. So this is the system group I had created. I'll assign it. Okay, so it is assigned releases. So now deployment plans is like one is the system group which we have assigned, right? Assign the system group, it is showing up here. The another thing about deployment plan is the releases. Like releases is nothing but you could have release like I chose S4 HANA Cloud, right? Now if you know that S4 HANA Cloud also, like since the cloud solution, it will have its own release cycle, right? The SAP release cycle, right? So if you want, as I was discussing this on Friday, that in this cloud centric solutions you have to take that thing into consideration, that okay, whichever products we are using, SAP follows their some upgrade cycle, right? Every quarter or every 6 months they are going to release and they will update it, right? So you can plan your project, plan your release cycle accordingly, right? Let's suppose you have a test cycle which is coming just before the next release which SAP is going to release for S4 HANA Cloud. So it would make more sense to just have your test cycle moved a week or 2 weeks forward, so that you can test your functionalities with the latest release of your product, right? So in that way it is it's again, SAP doesn't say it is mandatory, but it is probably a very good practice to follow, that you follow the and SAP gives that in advance at what would be their release cycle, their update cycle. So to take that into consideration, you it's better with your project plan, right? So when you're creating your deployment plan for your product, you can create a release cycle. But again, it is your release cycle. It's not you're following SAP. You can follow your own release cycle, right? So you have to have one release cycle for at least the deployment plan. We can have multiples, right? Obviously, in any project, um, there could be one big bang, release go live, but there could be, one major release and then minor releases, every quarter something is planned, right? So then you can put that here also in context. But again, these are not hard and fast. You can always come and change the dates, right? It's not like very rigid. Okay, and I'll just save it. And I'll come to my project. And so if you see, you can assign only one deployment plan to your project landscape. Obviously, that would, right. You cannot have multiple releases for your project, or because you can have within one deployment plan, you can have your multiple system groups. So you can add your multiple system group within one deployment plan, and then that deployment plan you can assign to your project within under deployment landscape, right? you you ideally you would not have multiple deployment plans. The release cycle would be one only for the whole project. It would be only that the system groups would be in multiple, right? One to many relations, so that you can within your deployment plan you can add multiple system groups, right? Maybe let's do that. One sec. So I'll assign another system group. I'll just choose something which is already created. Okay. And I can have multiple. Okay. So run a private cloud, SAP Cloud ALM, SAP. Okay. Integration suite. Okay. So you see now I have these 5 system groups as part of my deployment plan. One for HANA private cloud, one for Cloud ALM, one for C4C, one for integration suite, CPI, one for S4 HANA cloud. Okay, I'll just save it. Okay, and then I'll go to my projects and change my deployment plan. You see, I'm also not able to see my, because you see after 8 it is not showing, because I think it will only show these many lists somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's more of a bug, and I don't think I will be able to find. It only shows 20. I don't know why. So it's more of a bug in the tool. Nothing to do with. Okay, fine, but fine. We'll leave it for now. But that's what I'm saying. Like you can have multiple groups assigned to your system, to your deployment plan, right? So in that way, you can have whichever system, and obviously the number of systems in your deployment plan will always be more, right? Like it would not be 1 2 3, right? You'll have S4 and IBP or success factor, right? Whatever it could be. Again, it again depends that in some projects, like especially for success factor, most of the clients run success factor as a separate project. The HR module, they run it as a separate project. So maybe it is part of your scope, but it is part of, you are running it as a different project. So then you don't have to include it in the current in this deployment landscape in the system you pay. So that thing depends on how you are running the project, because some projects go for one project, one master project, that's it. Within that everything runs. Others, break it down into some different projects, right? You have a success factor and project, an Ariba project, a separate Ariba project. So then there you don't need, like in the project, right, one for S4 HANA. So there, whichever systems you think would be part of this project scope, you add them only, right? Don't go with anything else, right? Clear till now?
Okay.
Okay. So we'll continue with the demo. Okay. Give me 1 sec. So in SAP, in Cloud ALM right now, there are, three like three methodology for deployment, right? One which we have discussed, right? Feature, right? There are other two. One is CIAS, which is called the Cloud Integration Automation Service, and the other one is Cloud Transport Management, right? So I'll just touch base quickly Cloud Integration Automation Service and CT and CTM, okay, before we. So some of you might have heard of this, the Cloud Integration Automation Scenario, which is nothing but guided workflow, basically to integrate your cloud solutions to on-prem, right? And other SAP cloud solutions, right? So it is more to do with how do you integrate your some cloud solution where some changes are going to move from cloud solution to on-prem.
To interrupt here, can you take any specific scenario on this to explain this automation?
This actually
Take any end-to-end scenario and just understand this.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, yeah, this I'll take, then I'll take it because I just wanted to touch the three types of deployment strategy which SAP provides. This because this is not part of the training because this is a new feature which came lately. So I just wanted to touch base that too, but means I don't have an end-to-end. So maybe later I'll show you an end-to-end scenario, or to make it under. I just want to touch base why these two are used. Then we'll move to feature. Okay. So this is more of a workflow which is provided, right? Okay. Then probably we'll move to feature then. Okay. This is the feature. One sec. Let me choose my project. Okay. So see now, till now, I don't have any feature created for this my project, right? Okay. And these are the different statuses, right? So we'll come to the disease, even if I select everything, because we have not created any feature till now, right? So what we'll do, we'll try to create a feature. Okay, so we will give it a test. Feature is something like you create your change document or RFC in Solution Manager charm, right? Similar to something like that. Okay, just demo. Okay, I'll just save it so as to not. Okay, now one by one I'll come to the section. So transport is again like your actual development work is going to do with we are going to do with transport, right? So as I said that you can create transports in development system and assign it to the transport. Now the feature is also there. You can create it from Cloud ALM, but in the demo system probably they have not given that, right? And if I assign it, I will not find any system because we don't have any, right? So I'll try to see if I can create one later and see if we will able to push something, right? Okay, one sec. Okay, now user stories, like obviously your development work is going to come from a user, like you have requirements, you will probably break it down user stories, and those user stories will be broken down into feature, right? The where you do your assignment of work, right? So you can assign a user story, okay, to. So if you remember, we had created these user stories, right, within the project, right? So we'll try to assign.
This is basically transports.
Transports are the transport which you have in your development system where you manage assign your development work. Did not, yeah, that those transports.
So what is the use of maintaining? Those are here.
Means if you have worked with solution manager in change
No,
document, you
don't talk about solution manager. Just talk about COM. Just explain it on COM basis only. Don't go to the solution manager.
No. I'm just no. So I was saying about transport. So transport are nothing but in your development system. Whenever you're going to do some development work, you're going to get map capture those changes in the transport so that you can move to the next quality pre-pod eventually to production, right? And then for testing you will move them, right? So those transport you can assign it to this section of the feature, and then you don't have to manually move the transports with the feature status, as I was saying, deployment and testing. With those status change in of feature, the transports will move automatically, right? And we have TOCs as well, transport or copy. So in that case, your TOCs will move to quality or pre-pod as per your requirement. And so that you don't have to, there will be only one transport, which eventually would move to your production. So here the usefulness of assigning the transport here is that one of which obviously track, like we'll have user stories also, like so you can have track, okay, for this requirement we had this user story, for this user story we maybe one feature or two feature.
Hey, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training. That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features: bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
And then this feature was, this piece of development work was done in this transport, and then this has moved on not to production. So in that traceability, it helps in having those your transports. Obviously you can move your transports manually, right? That is also, but you won't then, you have to maintain it in Excel. Your team lead, or you have to maintain it in Excel. Okay, this requirement was there. Okay, some custom table or some custom screen we have to create, and that you have to put in an Excel and then maintain it. Okay, this work is there, for this transport is there, right? And then this transport has to be deployed in in quality for testing, and then if you have a pre-port for integration and production, right? So rather than doing all of that, if you just assign it here, your particular transport, the other your transport here, so you can map, you can
One
manage.
question. It's just this requirement first for the test features. It's only for the information purpose. If you are keeping for the transport request in this particular requirement, right? It doesn't nothing to do with any transport movement or nothing like that.
No, no, the feature will help you in the moving movement of the transport as well, based on the
From here,
status. From here it will move here, if like how it moves in change, right? You change the status of a change documents, so your transport keeps moving. A similar case, but obviously not in that you don't have, you don't have any custom statuses. You don't have many, so there are 5 statuses, 4 statuses within which feature will move. But yeah, you're depending on your feature status, your transports will also move as per, because let's suppose in a actual project scenario, you will have development quality prod, right? Your basis team would have defined the transport routes, how the transport will move, right? From development in quality, if it is moving, whether it is supposed to move in, let's suppose there are 2 3 clients in quality, whether it is supposed to move on all clients or one client, and then from that client how it is going. So the basis team would have defined a transport route, right? Same all the details of those transport routes of all systems would get populated in your cloud LM, and it will follow the same transport path. And when you change the status of your feature, your transport will move automatically depending how what is the status. Like in testing, it will move to quality, right? Ready for production. So like when you are in pre-pod, then it is ready for production, you can approve it, then it's deployed, right? So like that, feature will help you to move your transports automatically. No manual intervention is required. Manual intervention required in the sense that you have to change the feature status, but you would not have to go specifically to your transport or request someone to move my transport. You just you have a feature created for your work, for user stories, for your requirement. You just request for the movement of the feature, and then the transport will move automatically. So this helps not only in documentation, but it actually in the automation of the transport movement in a way. Okay.
The same point. So this is more ideal in your releases and your change management, single processes, those kind of things, right? Not in an implementation environment. Like, because that will be more of a single process that has to be released.
Right. Yeah. It yes and no.
Because
Yes,
from an implementation point of view, we are not going to go with like process wise audit of TS. So it's going to be like chunk.
yeah, means you were right in that sense. That's why I say yes and no. Yes, in the sense that yes, you are not going with that. With when you are in implementation phase, probably you're not going to follow the process very as to the T. But then this helps in the documentation part, in the sense that if you have to track that, okay, whether my requirement is completed or not. So then you can, if you know that my ABC requirement is eventually linked to which transport number, and whether that transport has moved to I'm saying, like, suppose you have wave 1 and that the requirement was that it moves into testing, right? So then you can track your requirement, that okay, these 7 requirements were supposed to move into testing by end of sprint 1 or sprint 2. So then if you have that linkage, you can just see whether that transport or this feature is in testing status or not, right? So there it
Okay.
helps.
Oh,
And no one
like sprint one, I just have to do a complete set of or a cluster of
it
TRs.
yeah,
Only that can be moved across.
right, yeah, I mean, I'm giving a scenario in your
Yeah,
project.
understand.
It could work or it could not. It would be there or not there, but I'm just giving example that it at least from a tracking purpose it is going to. Otherwise, how you are going to track, right? Let's suppose you have your transports, and each transport, there could be multiple people or associated with one would be development piece, other would be the configuration piece. That before you move it to testing, there is some configuration piece which needs to be done, or some integration. As I have taken example, right? There is integration piece between your S4 HANA and Ariba, right? Through CPI. So now you need development needs to be done in S4 something on Ariba. Then someone has to do that integration in within CPI for the integration between S4 HANA and Ariba, right? So there are three pieces. So let's suppose your development piece is ready and you want to move it to testing. So for that, you need the other two pieces, right? The CPI guy has to have the the integration completed between your quality CPI tenant and quality Ariba tenant and your S4 HANA quality tenant, right? Or an system, right? So in that way, you can track it, right? Obviously, like as you said, since in implementation you don't follow the process like this, like releases or in that way. So yeah, that is
No, like
also
even in
true.
remedy or some other tools also, you have like something like a single remedy or a single TOC. That is for like
Right.
the first complete phase, and then you capture all this and then how to quality after the first phase.
Right.
They got it.
On this, I have one question. Actually, I missed a couple of sessions earlier, so just let me know whether it is covered or not. The way right now you said, like to complete one business process completely, there might be integration or development and configuration. So, can we like segregate all three and do one by one testing?
Yes, means yes, you can do that.
Because in the sprint one, it is not like everything can be ready from the sprint one. It
Correct.
may be on the
Correct.
sprint 4 or sprint 5, the
Right.
things will get ready.
So
Okay.
yeah. So what? Yeah. What we have, like you have, like let's suppose you have a business process requirement which you will custom piece which you have captured in a requirement, right? Now once you have the requirement, now as you said that there are multiple pieces in that, right? Integration, a configuration, and everything might not be ready at the same time. So probably
Right.
you can either have different user stories or project tasks. Like you can have like because see, everything might not go or is not a development that will go through a user story, have user points, right? So maybe something which is more configuration based, you can create a project task for that, right? And when
Okay.
you are creating a project task, you can assign it to a particular I can see sprint wave, all are optional in cloud ALM, right? It depends
No, my
on your
question is again different. Like as you like answered, yes, which can be done, but this
yes,
like the different pieces is there, right? So if you are
right,
saying the TR is moved, that TR is take to the particular piece and it will show in the test case. Now it is ready for the test. Is it something like that which will auto pop up during the test management? You getting my
um
point? The
no,
TR
can you
might be tagged to couple of the scenarios, right? For
right,
PP, MM, like all the modules. Okay,
right,
this
right,
these these TRs are mapped to the specific functionality or configuration has been done. This development has been done. So once
correct.
these TRs are moved, it will show in the test cases that these test cases are now ready for the test. Will this happen in the CAM or we have to do this manually or need to check this manually?
This you have to do it manually. Okay, you are saying as soon as the transport is moved to, like, is in testing phase or the feature, then your test
Mm-hmm.
cases should change status or your test plan, right? No, that
Yeah,
will
for
not.
ready, like
Yeah,
it should be
yeah,
now, like there might be different stages of the test cases. Now it is
right.
now, it should be in the
Ready for
active
test.
state, right?
Yeah,
Ready for the test or in the active. So
right.
it
No,
will
that
happen
would
automatically or we have to do manage it. We have to manage
no,
it
no,
manually.
no. You have to manage it manually. It won't happen automatically.
But can we link these TRs to the
Yeah,
test cases? This
you
is
can.
what.
Yeah, that you can do. Like you can, like, not the TRs, but the requirement, right? Or the user story that you can link to your test plan.
No, that is
Um,
again high level. The user
right, right.
story will be the high level you are talking. I am talking about the pieces in the sprint one, sprint through. It will be in the pieces. So that is
Trans,
what my.
yeah, transport you won't be able to link to a test plan or test case.
Okay, okay,
That
okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Just once, I think in the module, no, it's not. I'll just try to find it. There is a diagram which shows at which level what you can connect. I think I had covered in one of the sessions. Either you can go to one of these sessions, or I'll try to find that there's a diagram. It shows you like
The recording
at
is
what.
available, right, for the previous
Yeah,
session?
yes. Recording
Okay.
is there, right? You can go through the recording. I think I probably on Thursdays session I covered that, if I'm not recall correctly. So there's a
No
diagram which
worries.
shows you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. No, so now till now it was clear, right? You can create a, assign a user story to your feature, right? So in that way you have link, like, okay, your like, because your user story, you would have linked to some requirement. So now your requirement, your story, your feature has a linkage, and eventually when you assign a transport, it will have a linkage there, right? So you can have at least like traceability at some level, that okay, my requirement is where okay, whether the user story is has started work, the development started or not, transport, where the status of your transport. So it will pick up from there. Like, let's suppose the feature has been moved for in testing, or it is still in specification, right? Like the current status, if you come, is in specification, right? So that right now, like, we are creating, right? So in specification, right? It means that no development has started right now, right? And then you can have, create your, you can give priority, let's give it high. Tags, you can
I think
give
we have to
either.
follow in a reverse way. From the user stories to check the TRs and then come back to the test cases, right? In that way only we have to follow.
Right. I mean, TRs will not, I think, I will have any linkage to test cases. But yeah, you from user story level, you have to do that, or requirement. But yeah, at transport level, there is no linkage. I basically, because see, transport itself don't have, in like, at least in cloud, transports itself don't. They are like part of a feature at best, right? So we can connect feature to user story and then a test plan. So that linkage you can have. But transfers as such are not a standalone entity, if I can say that. So you cannot link transport to a test case, in if I may say, in your case, what you're asking. But other entities which like user story or a feature, that you can have a linkage. That's what they that linkage you can have. And what you want to, oh yeah, automatic, it won't change the test cases status, but you can have a very, how would I put it? Like, at least, yeah, but yeah, that would be at is still high level, that okay, what test plans are related, or I don't know which state and what, yeah. But yeah, that would be at high level, not at the transport level, at least not for now. I mean, you never know, maybe going forward in cloud LM they can give that, additional feature innovation, that okay, we'll have. And they could automate it, right? That okay, depending on the status change of the preceding object, will, like, obviously feature development will precede your testing, right? So it could be that if the preceding object has changed status, the succeeding, if there's a linkage between your test cases, the status would change. So that could be there, but right now, unfortunately, that automation is not there. But yeah, it could be there, right? Yeah, because it's
Okay.
changing every day. It is,
Yeah, because in Azure DevOps, if you see, like it is automatic. If you one status is changed, then it will automatically change the steps. Now this is active. One by one it is changing. But here we have to do manually. That I understood. Okay.
mm, yeah, okay. I was saying, like, so you can give tags, right? So tags are nothing but another, to filter out quickly things, to put it very in layman. Like, let's suppose this is your feature, right? You can name it. Okay, if I want to find out what all feature or development work or transport are pending, or so I can give it a test underscore 11th March, right? And label, right? So this is assigned. No, this has it. This, okay. You can have multiple tags, right? Okay. Scope, like, this scope is the one, like, obviously you have now within your project, we had defined this scope, right? So this feature, any feature or any development work probably would be part of one of these scope, right? One of those business scenarios, business processes, right? So you have to choose one, right? Again, these are optional, but it helps you in, again, if you give, like, so then you can maybe later point of time that okay, for this, within this project, for this scope, how many features are there, how many transports are there. So that helps in that reporting, right? So it's better to have it, right? Because most of this requirement you will have, right? You will have all of these, right? So then work stream, like anything but teams, there are inbuilt, you can create your own, right? These comes from SAP. So I'll just give some work stream, right? Okay, now you see requirement, right? So you can assign your feature to a requirement, right? Again, see, nothing is compulsory or optional, but it is always good, right? Obviously, you are doing some development work, so probably there was some requirement for it, right? Doing one of the some workshop, you did get a requirement, you did note it down, right? And then so then it's better to tag it, right? So I think so. See, again, it will show me only for the ones the requirement for this particular, because I'm doing in my project. I don't show everything, right? So I'll give it to some maybe template them. Okay, responsible, right? So you can have Agatha, like I'm the through this user I'm assigned, so it is giving, or you can choose some other user as well, right? So maybe Adam admin. Okay, I'll just choose, right? So you can have project task as well, but since we did not create for any project task within this project, so it is not coming up, right? If I like for user stories, we had user stories case, so it was showing assigned project task. If we would have created within our project some project task, so it would have shown it, and we could have assigned the project task as well. Project task could be, like if you in that particular requirement or this particular thing, there is some like someone was saying like, some configuration piece. So because ideally it would not go through, I use it because it's not a development piece, so it would not go through the normal cycle of user story. So we can create a project task for that, right? So, like some non-development work could be a configuration, could be printer setup, something, right? So that you can create a project and assign it here, right? We'll just save it. Okay, we'll just open it from here. Cancel. Okay, now when we save it, now you say it was in specification. Now it is in start implementation. Okay, now from the feature also you can create a user story, a project task at see the transport I was showing, right? Once I've created it, you see now we did not create any transport, right? There was no, but you can create a transport rather than going and creating in the development system. You can create the transport from the feature only, and it will be available in the development system. You can give the transport number to your developer that okay, use this transport number for your development work to capture your development work. I'll click on it, but I'm not sure if it is going to work or not, because okay, for tenants assigned to your project system, the configuration in your managed system missing, please consult the. It's just saying that for transport creation, whatever systems, whatever systems I have via the system, right? It is just select checking in my deployment landscape, the deployment plan, whatever system groups I have selected, right? So it is telling that within those system groups there is some configuration, right? Because I saw for managed system configuration, for the managed system, you have to do one setup, right? So is missing in the managed system. Please consult the setup and administration guide for SAP Cloud ALM, right? So since a demo system and no actual system is connected, and even if actual system is connected, there the configuration is not done for the transport creation. Like for transport to be created, you have to do an additional, right? But if it would be ideal, it would have just when you would have clicked it, it would have created a transport for you, and it would have shown up here within this transport field, transport section. Okay.
It will create a transport, or it will fetch the transport that is.
No, it will create a transport for you. You have both options, because when Cloud LM started, they did not have a capability to create the transport. It was only assignment, which you saw when we were creating the feature first. So it was like assignment, like you have to create it in development system, and for the linkage you assign the transport to your feature. Now I think 2023 last quarter they gave this added this functionality where you can create it from the feature itself through this. So you have both feature assignment also. You can assign a pre-existing pre-created transport. It could be like development, it happens right in actual.
No, but will it create a direct technical tier, or will it create something like a POC?
No, it will create a normal workbench customizing tier in this system, normal, as it will create a actual normal customizing tier. Nothing like no dummy or nothing like that. It will create an actual tier.
Not a carrier. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Basic term. Just tell me. My understanding is right. So, sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you. See, we have this complete project that we created like last 2 weeks, and then this feature comes in. Can we say that this feature overview is something like, say, wave one? And within this wave one, what are all we are capturing is what we are seeing now. Can we assume it like that? Or
can you repeat?
No. What I'm saying is, like, we had the total project, overall project that we created earlier.
Right.
And then this features overview, what we are seeing now is something like, say, a wave one of the project. And within that wave one, what are all we are capturing? Can we assume it like that? Something like that.
Means you could say that in a sense that your feature will anyways come in your realize phase. It is not going to come in prepare or explore phase. Like explore phase, you're going to capture your requirements, run your workshops. So requirements and those things will come in your explore phase. In realize phase, when you're actually in development, then this feature will come, feature app or feature functionality will come into the picture. So you could say that, but because ideally you have your sprints running in the realize phase, right? I mean, some projects do in your explore phase also, but at least for if you are following sprints, you are going to do that in realize phase for sure, right? You're going to favor.
No, for example, if we take why I'm asking this is because our current project is like we might it's more like explore and realize parallelly. So it's we are starting the sprint with explore, and we will also parallelly do the realization part of it. Like we have like monthly sprints, and then so we'll have like something like a show and tell scenario. Yeah. Also build part of the phases build. So build is nothing but more of your realization.
Then in that sense, means if it is running parallelly, you could say that, because then it is going to run parallelly with your.
It might not entirely follow the activate methodology wherein you complete your explore and then you start the realize. It sounds like it is going to be more like parallelly.
Parallelly,
I think that is also Yatish, Rohit. What do you think?
I think in the first two phases, sprint 1 and 2 will complete the realization phase, right? Explore.
No, what actually, I got your point. See, now we are talking about that linking with the project task, right? And the project task, there will be different testing kind of thing, which will be configured or something like doing the defect or something in a testing, which will have that transport request also right here.
Right.
And the description. Right. So here in the fourth step, we have a project task, right? So which we already created, there will be a project task, which will be assigned to task with a different team. Like we have a function team, and there will be something to task, which will be obviously assigned if something relevant for any kind of development, like on a technical development, like an app, if it's something like an SAP, and something transportation movement, there will be a basis who actually move the transport request and get the confirmation, correct? So this is the features which will be actually linked with the project task, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So what I understood that this project task always we have once we start developing that any of the object as per the preparation phase, right? So we'll do it all the configuration in the realization phase, correct? So that is called project task, right?
Means in a way again, means again, as I said, like in Cloud ALM, it doesn't give you any hard stop or there's no. It's more of everything is loose coupled.
And you should not use, there is a limitation for to use any of the features or any of the tasks.
Right. Yes.
It can be used in any point of time.
Correct. But it's just
Pradeep, that what I understood that now.
Okay. No, I was saying since there is obviously there is no hard, like you see whenever we create any, if you see nothing is compulsory that you have to put this, you have to put that. Similarly, any of these things you can use in any point of time, but there has to be not logic, but a sequence to it, right? You will not create a project task and then you are going to create obviously requirement, and even if it's running parallel, you will have a requirement. Then only you will know what task you need to do in the project. I'm just taking example.
Correct. So what I wanted to convey here is that to give my comments here. Just correct me if I'm incorrect. So Pradeep, so are you into SAP, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So which model you are on? I just wanted to know. That's I'll take your base and I'll just give my understanding. If not correct, then Ratan will interpret. Tell me which model.
Manufacturing.
Okay, so HSMM, right? So you're into manufacturing. Now there will be a project task, right? So once we start doing that, the project which will you have to create a material group, correct? Which will create a transport request. So in transport request, then you'll have a project task. Which are the tasks? Like one task which will come like you have to create the project, material group. Yeah, Ratan, if you can click on the project task tab.
Yeah.
Project task.
So you can create from it.
Tab. Yeah. No. That's fine. So in the project, you'll have something like there'll be a project task, right? So if you can click on that, so you have already created one project task for you to create a material group, right? So under that, so there will be different type of description for the features of this particular project task, there will be you will have one transport request, right, for the particular task. See, you will assign that particular transport request into the transport tab. And for the particular task, there will be user stories, like a number of hours, which will be mapped into that number of user story. Then you'll put that in the user stories tab. So additional information, if anything which is related to, it will be tagged to something like some task, it will be finance, some task will be something for the relevant changes with ESD or something SCM like that. So you'll have something task which will be assigned to additionally. So here your action is pertaining to relevant information. So you got one idea, some basic information?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
To the scenario which you have just told now, what maybe the user story? Like, can you give an example?
User stories usually that, say for example, you're creating a material, because I was worked before, which I was using for HPLM, right? So there'll be user stories like requirement. It will come like creation of the table, creation of the interfaces, running the program, creation of the body, something like different kind of stages will come, right? So each and every step there will be number of hours which you require to perform. That user stories that will be cost for the client, as per my understanding. That user stories nothing but it will come like number of hours for each user stories, how many hours which has been allocated. Based on that, cost will be decided by the project management. If that's not
like the effort estimation, you mean to say, right?
Yeah, that is effort estimation. That user stories, and that there will be different kind of task will come. Say for example, creation of the material group. Either it can be creation of it in India or in US, something like that. There will be kind of task it will be there. Different depend upon the functionality of the scope. Correct. Then you'll have something like a project task. Project task, say for example, I am the project manager. I'll create a project task for the Rohit and Pradeep. So I'll tell that a project task, one project task, and that will be group created, need to be created. So I'll assign the one subtask with the Pradeep. Okay, ask with the one person, and I'll assign the additional subtask with. So I tell that Rohit, you need to create for the material group for the different country. So for each and every task, there will be something user story aligned with that. And all that you will have on something transport request, right? Here in this transport request with all the description.
Okay.
So for your task, there will be user stories, something for 4 user stories or 5 user stories. That will be assigned for in the user stories. Additional information, you can put what the relevant information according to your task. This is what I actually work. I think this is what I actually thinking that this is going to be the same thing. As per this explanation, is that correct, Ratan? Explain me something like not correct. I'm not saying that I am correct. So you always are that right person to correct us. Okay, I'm also like other people participate.
Yeah. No, that's
There is
fine. That's
add-on also. I can just update you on that. Like, just comment on that. Like, as you said, there are multiple tasks also. Like in one user story, there can be 8 to 9 tasks. This task
right.
can be interdependable and it can be dependable. Okay, if like first 3 tasks can be done simultaneously, like do his the configuration and can do and someone else also from FI. But after this only, it will go to the next stage, whatever stage it can be. Okay, so this will be the like task can be dependable and interdependable as well.
Correct.
And like user story, or like we can say, like as you just mentioned that it's for the effort estimation. Like Pradeep can mention, okay, his task will be only for 1 hour. And comment, no, that for me it will take 2 days. So on that basis, we'll comment whether this user story can be completed in this sprint or it will go to the next sprint.
Correct.
Yeah, but it is not any, it is not mandatory also to mention a user story, right? For every task.
No, actually, that for each and every
if we are following this, it's a mandatory.
Right?
Sorry, not too many. Yeah.
So for each and every task, you will have something effort, right? Say for example, 2 hours, 3 hours. Something like if you do something like an creation of metal group, you will have something FS, FDT you need to create, FS needs to create, correct?
No, Yatish, for a standard config also do we need to mention user story? That's what I mean.
Yeah, of course. Standard story, you are putting your effort.
Yes. Okay. Got it.
Okay. You get me what I said, or
Yeah. I won't say. Yeah. I'm just trying to get Ratan's what he
No, I am
said.
also like you. So
Concluding
because
also.
previously I was worked and I got some idea. So the similar same thing that what I understood, what I am understanding now. So based on that, my previous experience for the current situation, I'm just giving my overview for
No,
my
no,
understanding. Might be
I am just trying to, map it with our current project. Right? What we are doing. I'm just trying
of
to
course,
map it with that.
of course. See, once you get something basic funda, right, then only you can build your story. See, if you don't know that the route where it is, then you cannot build it up, right? So that's what I just. This is all the something like now which you actually know. We should know.
Correct.
Correct. Right.
This thing also.
Right.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, that's why it is good to discuss things. So it would, even like I'm also not like I may be the term, but there are some scenarios, some things which I'm also not very clear, right? So as like they were you were pointing, like so in Cloud LM, if you see in user stories, it gives you story points, how many points you want to
correct.
give.
And now see what's asking that Satish was
Right.
raising initially question, right? You need to specify something like that. So this is what actually consultant they look for it. They can correlate it after their work into this particular
Correct. And
so that's what.
Yeah, and you can even put in your effort here, right? How many hours and how many, right? Right. So it again like boils down to the one thing which when you are starting your project, you have to decide how you want to do it, right? As I think someone was saying that if it is a standard config, whether we want to have a user story. So you could maybe you don't want a user story, but something to like even for track it, right? There are two, three. One is documentation part that whatever we are doing or not even not doing, you need to document it somewhere, right? So I did like earlier, like long back, what you use, like even if you are creating giving a user story to each developer or each team member, you are going to probably put it in Excel. Okay, user story 1 to ABC, user story B to Ragul to Rohit to Ratan, right? Rather than that, you can do it here, right? And again, it again depends when you decide, when you're onboarding your project, you're starting, you decide on a higher level on the leadership, like how you want to run the project. Because when you're starting, the scope, right? Like there are fun somewhere you probably would now we'll go with like this flow, like requirement, user story will break down into project task, and then or they could be okay, we'll have requirement, but then depending on the requirement, probably if it is a standard config, no development is required, just a config, then maybe we'll just have a project task, right? I'm just saying, right? But the main or the main crux is that whatever we do, it should be uniform across at least the project, right? Otherwise, even if like one work stream or one team is following one process and everyone is following the same, that's good, but the other team is following something else, then there will be miscommunication or misinformation being drilled up to moved up higher up or down, right? So whatever we do, like okay, we decide no, we'll have user stories, we'll define user points, then user points also have how you define the user points efforts, whether we are going to put these efforts, right? So that like in some projects, I don't know, like you remember, I don't know that the user stories get assigned to the developer and then they give back how much effort is going to be required, right? In some project team or team leads within the user story, this user story would require 72 hours or for 8 days or whatever, right? So it happens both ways, right? Right. So similarly, anything is fine, even Cloud LM, because you say everything is optional. So since it is optional, it is very difficult to enforce. But again, why would you would say why they have made everything optional? It's just to give you that leverage or that flexibility to any project that okay, I have given you so many things, right? Feature, requirement, subtask, create task, feature, transport, test cases, test plans, but these are optional. You choose the best way in which or the best way which suits your project, right? It could be like as you said, like when you're running your demo show and tell, and the customer is telling that okay, fine, I don't need any require, I don't need any customer, this is fine, whatever SAP is providing, just give this to me in the same way, right? So this one project would be very difficult, very different from another project where customer is already is on ECC and they are moving to S4 HANA, and they want to move with their processor, they don't want to build anything new. So they will with their own process they will come, then you have to create those processors in S4 HANA, make as closer to that if you're not same to it, right? So then it would be very different project run, these two projects. So then in the second one, probably you will have a lot many user stories. But in the first one, probably you will have a lot many project tasks that there is no much development. But yeah, there are tasks, configuration tasks, then is testing required. So that you can create. So it all depends how your project is going to be run, or how you decide that how my project is going to run, right? But whatever we decide, we should follow that one only. Not we should not deviate. Anyone from the project should not deviate from, because it is very difficult to enforce in cloud elements, because everything is optional, right? And for now, every status is also optional. Like you have to manually go and, like, for requirement, if there is a refinement, you have to go and change it to approval, then only it will be in approval status, or for user stories, right? So all these status are also manual. You have to eventually, once your work is done or that state you have cleared, you go and change the status manually, so that the current status shows up. Then only you'll know, okay, the requirement now is approved, now I can start my work, right? It is not even like, it's not automatic that when we change the requirement status, the user story would get popped up or would come in the queue that, okay, this is ready for development, or the feature is ready, is in specification, now we can start development, right? So in that sense, we have to probably follow the process a bit more cautiously and more, to the T, right? Okay, fine. So I was showing you that you can, in the user story, you can give your, efforts and your user points. Okay, I'll go back to my feature. Okay, so now I can, right now the status is in specification. Okay, I can start development. Okay, I'll click on. Do you want to start implementation? Features can't be deleted after you switch the status of feature to in implementation. Okay, so what it is saying, that now it is like you have created, now you'll change the status, right? Now I have created the feature, now the development, so I start implementation, right? So that you can do. Or other thing is that maybe you have created a feature, and again you are going to, it's not like you're going to create a feature when you're going, it could be, as the process requirement, user story, and you create a feature and then leave it. Then probably 2 weeks down the line you come and then the development would start, right? So then probably it could be that, okay, this feature is no more planned, so you can set it to not set to non-planned, right? You can keep it, but it is not planned in the way, right? So the next state would be, we'll start the implement. Okay. So only the status changes for this feature. This is again for reporting capability. Okay, how many features, and this is current in status is in implement in development, means whoever is the developer or development team, functional team, they are working on getting this, whatever is part of this user story requirement, that thing into development. That thing is being getting built. We are in realize phase, and we are building the thing, right? So you are in development, you will do your work, right? And right now the transports are still in development system, right? You have done you're doing your development changes, right? It could be that you are doing one level of unit testing in development only, then that also you can do. As soon as I change the status to handover to test, it will move to the next system, right? The transport for testing, right? For your UAT and whatever, right? Because in development also, when you do the development, you do a little developers tend to do some bit of means, I'm just saying it's optional whether you want to do it or don't do it. But once that is done, once you're ready to move it to the next system, then you change the status to handover to test. It's similar, right? And the transport will move automatically. Okay, you don't have to move it explicitly. If you are relying on the feature thing, right? It will not affect your
question.
Yeah.
Now we are into handover test. Some of the field which we would like to edit or delete in features of this task. So is that allowed?
Some things you can obviously, yeah. You can't delete the feature now, but yeah, this you
in
can
some of
change.
the fields, yeah.
Yeah, you can change it. Means at least everything you can change, right? Because it could be means you can change it in the sense, maybe responsible person has changed. Means again, it would not make sense
Because
that now
I
you're
see here
changing
there
the
is some
requirement.
mandatory.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, I'm saying that you can change it, but probably you're not going to, once you're in development, you're not going to change the requirement, right? Because it came from one requirement, right? This feature or this work which we are going to do, or you are asking the development team to do, that there is a requirement for this particular functional scope. So that probably has come from some requirement, and some piece of work which the customer has requested, some custom field or some new field, right? So to changing the requirement probably will not make much of a sense, right? But yes, you can change it if the answer like, but ideally you're not going to change it, right? Unless something changes in the background, or you have clubbed. I have not seen seen probably the responsible person. Your team has changed, so maybe the responsible person. But obviously, scope and work stream are not going to change. Priority you can, right now it has become low priority. When we were creating the feature 2 weeks down the line, 2 weeks before it was high priority, but now 2 weeks down the line, it is a low priority or medium priority, right?
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
So that you can do, but not recommended not to there's no sense to change the requirement of work stream or scope, right? These are part of the scope, right? How will the scope change, right? That particular development is obviously part of some scope. That piece is not going to change, right? So yes, you can change, but there's no need to change, and you should not change it, right?
But we can change the status to anything, right? We can go back to and to test again. We can come back to implementation as well. The feature.
And once you're handover to test, then you can come back here. Now you're implementing. There's no feature straight to go back, but yeah, once you're handover to test, you can come back to again in development. Like no, you do your testing. There is some defect, so yeah, that you can do. And for that
Even
also,
though,
like yeah.
Even though if the test is not in the UAT phase or something like that, it just something needs to be changed or something. If not defect, the distance option is available, right? So you should come back in the development stage and do the things, and then
Yeah, right. You can do that. Like it's obviously because see, no development will move direct in one shot. Will move to production, right? Obviously, it's good. It should move, but it's mostly because they have means at least the unit testing works, integration testing, but the user acceptance and testing business has some issues that they have, right? So you do those multiple iterations of your testing. So obviously, you can from the testing you can again come back to the development phase and do the development.
Where we can attach the FUT here, FUT and SIT before moving to testing. Is there any option like UAT, FUT, SIT, something like that for this particular task?
In feature, there is no, but
in the task itself.
In the user is, you remember we had mentioned that reference link. There you can put under, you can go there one sec. Yeah, references. So you can maybe create the FSD, TSD, you can upload in one shared folder, shared SharePoint, anything, and that link, folder link, you can share
it here. Keep it here. Huh?
Yeah. This was one of the major, input from the customers to SAP that you should have a place. They did that they have we'll go through that, the document. But it is right now it is integrated but not fully integrated with like in if I take example of solution manager, you can put it there as well, right? In your solution documentation for under your business process, like you can create your change document itself from the business process. You can put your FSDs, TSDs, configuration items, everything under that business process. You can have your test plans there under process steps, right? Even at a process step level, if you have test cases, you can assign those test cases there, right? So that was there in Cloud ALM. It is there at the user story or the project task level, but not at the feature level. But you have this, like you can, or if you want
to, we can keep that document is in SharePoint or somewhere else in the document repository. Then we can paste this link that on a FUT completed, SID completed, and the UAT is in progress, something like that. Is that so?
Correct. Yeah.
So once we move in implementation to next testing phase, so it means that is it a part of phase of is that FUT, SIT, or UAT? Which one we should understand here in the features test demo?
Okay.
See, now we were talking about the features, right? Test features. So then once you click that, it will go for the test implementation, correct? In
Right,
implementation,
correct.
something like that. Then after that, it will go for the testing phase, hand over the testing
Test.
phases. If I
Hand
click
over
the
to
next
test.
phase, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, now you see that hand over to test.
Right.
So if I click
This
that, then it will go for the testing. Is that if I click this test, this belongs to, is that a or is that a SIT or is that a FUT? And our test means I believe that this could be a thing UAT as per my understanding.
right. It
We
would,
hand over the things to UAT, right? Is that we
right.
should understand?
Right. Because there is only one status like for testing in Cloud ALM for now, right? So when you hand over to test, yeah, ideally it is UAT, but obviously it could be that you are running multiple iterations of testing. You want the UAT, SIT, and again something, right? So whatever that you
I
have.
think this can be handled differently, right? Like if we are discussing this, I just want to understand one more thing. So
Yeah.
UAT will be the complete package with all the user stories,
Right.
all the business process, right? And the
Right.
same with the SIT also.
Right. What I
And
yeah. What
and yeah, let me just complete this.
completely.
So, and the UT will be like internal. There may be the many tasks and different user stories will come in between, but not the all the business process.
See, in the development, UT is nothing but a FUT, the functional unit testing. So short form, we can say that unit testing. So actually, it's a FUT, functional unit testing. When you do the testing, right, there'll be a four layer system like a development. There'll be 100 and 200 example. You will do the changes in that 100, then you'll move the changes, copy the changes into 200 in the development only. So you'll do the testing in the development 200 only. So you'll capture that testing part as a part of FUT. That is called FUT. Then they will move the changes from development 100 into the quality system. That is called SIT, System Integration Testing. So you all do that regression testing, all the testing in this particular testing in the quality system, and also in that development system also you can do that regression testing, which is linked to the cross module and all. And once you do that SITs, okay, then you'll pass that pre-production, the changes. Whatever the task you do.
That I understood. What I'm talking about, the packages will be the different. This user story will repeat again.
Correct. Okay. It has to be consolidatedly. If that is a dependent, independent. If it is a independent, you can move the changes into independent or pre-production till that user stories. Okay, it's till that UAT. So that UAT, it will be consolidatedly, it can be planned and do that UAT. It depends upon that what kind of complex changes you are involved.
Yes, but SIT and UAT will be the replication, right? Although only the system are different, but the user stories will remain same.
User story will not change. User story will be already decided in that.
Yes, and it will remain same, and we have to do the same thing twice. That is what I'm talking about. And I think this we have to create two packages, one for the SIT and one for the UAT, right?
Oh, you mean to say this one, the feature task you are talking about?
Yes.
Is it required to have the two? I think what I understood that there will be a feature reference option is there. Now what one was telling that if there is a FUT, then if you upload something FUT result into somewhere in the different repository or somewhere in the different link, that link and we can copy it in, we can keep it in a reference of this particular features. That's what he has mentioned. But then do we require something different task or something like that? What Ina is looking?
No, in your packages, then you can create for test packages, test plans separately for separate, but the status would remain like one only, because after I have moved it to testing, so after this it is approved for production only, right? Because there are only limited like in other tools or in Cloud ALM or in Solution Manager, you could have multiple custom state, like one for UAT, one for SIT. If you remember that, once the UAT is done, then you can change the status to move to SIT, and then if you need another, so that. But Cloud ALM, it's not. It's like development, testing, and move to production. So when you are in testing, you remain in testing, and then you can create your different test packages depending on your requirement. One for UAT, one for you don't have to repeat a multiple users remains the same. Obviously your the particular testing, that feature would remain in testing, and you run your different test cases, test plan, test packages different for SIT, UAT, regression, whatever. When it is that once every scope of the testing cycle is completed, then you approve. Once all the test cases are uploaded and it approved, then you approve it for production. Like the business will approve it for production, right? So in that, you don't have to create different user stories. Yeah, you'll have to create obviously different test packages for each of the test cycles, but you don't, since because there is only one status for testing right now. Like there are only three, like development, testing, and approve for production, right? Like we have testing. So then you have to like be in testing, like this state, like hand over to test. Now we are in testing phase. Even if you can check the history, right? Status has changed. So in testing, it is in testing. Now you do whatever testing cycles you have. Obviously, it could run for obviously it's for some requirement. It could have only one a smaller test cycle, a test package, or if for others it could be a broader, like if it's a small piece, so there is only small, no, there's no probably there could not, there is no complete SIT required, right? But for a bigger piece or bigger requirement where multiple a requirement has maybe 4 or 5 user stories, those 4 or 5 user stories have another 4 or 5 features, whatever it could, right? Then probably you need a complete full cycle SIT. So then you can do that for SIT, right? Because it's not like that every requirement would follow the same level of testing. Yeah, obviously you will have a full cycle of SIT for the complete before you move to production. But during the different phases of testing, it would be it would it would vary, right? We won't follow a standard normal template, right? That's right. But yeah, it is because there is only one status right now. So in that status only, when you are testing, you'll have to keep the feature as it is, even if it taking taking time, or you're waiting, as you're saying, there could be dependent feature until as that is moved or that is in testing, you can't test the other features. So then the preceding feature would remain in testing for a longer period, and that you can mention it in the comments or in description that it is waiting for this. And then once the other succeeding requirement of features or development is in the system, and now you can do the testing, then you'll run the testing cycle in that way. Yeah, okay, clear.
Yeah, I think I'll discuss with you again. I'll just have
Yeah,
overview,
because
and because I'm not yet clear, so I'll discuss with again.
yeah, because after this we have the test plan and the test management as well, which we need to. So that is
Sure,
next.
sure.
Yeah. So maybe probably then we'll be able to more fully address your query, and you may be able to understand more in depth. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's clear till now. Okay. So now it is approved in production, like it is in testing. You can and for any feature you can check the the statuses through this history tab, right? This is helpful in the sense that in ideal scenario it would be there would be some approval, right? It's not like approve for production probably would require some approval, or it would be with the business owner from the client side only, right? So in that way you can check it. Also, when you're moving it from even in testing, you maybe need a sign off from the development team or the functional team. So those all things you can see here, that who gave the functional testing requirement, whatever, right? So from the history, this is for audit purpose, right? Because right now, as I said, the approval workflow itself is not very mature in Cloud ALM, right? So, but this helps in at least taking from audit perspective who approved, when approved, right? So this is fine because you don't like ideally anyone can approve it, whoever has requirements. So it should be that only the business process owners for that particular streams should approve it. So it's not like this SI partner only comes and whoever is using the development will come and approve it. So it will probably come in the audit trail. So to avoid that, you just request, send it for approval, and then they approve it. Once they approve it, it will automatically move. Yeah. For production movement, it could be that you rely on manual, that okay, no, for production it will be moved at this particular time and would be moved by production by the basis team. It should not be automatic, right? Because it is like if I once I approve a production, and if automatic import is enabled, so it will move within 5 to 15 minutes, depending on how the background job is scheduled in the managed systems. So this will move into production maybe within 5 to 15 minutes, which probably would is not the ideal scenario. Then you would have production moving as and when production change moving as in when someone is approving. So rather than that, you can have that okay, it is approved for production probably every Tuesday or every Thursday or every end of the day. Basis will check which all features are in approved for production, and then they from there they can find the transport numbers, and then they will move it manually the transports to the production system, right? So either of these two you can use. Obviously, second one is the most is recommended, that changes should move at one go and someone is monitoring it. Other than otherwise, everyone, if it depends on the approval, so anyone and everyone can approve it whenever they feel like, whenever they have, and then production changes are moving to a production each and every time, right? Like over the whole across all day, it might be moving. So it's better to avoid that and have the basis come into the picture. And I mean, bases are like anyone, but to have that one last check that, okay, we'll move manually the all the transfer at at one point of time, not like multiple time within the day. Okay, so this is one feature, which is one thing which we should not take care. Okay, so proof of production. Now from approved to production is like still it. Okay, so you can, you can again, like if there is some issue, something, you can again move it to implement it. Like there's a during testing you found a defect, right? So again you can start working, right? It is again in implementation, again you can, the development team can start working on it, and it works similarly. There are no changes. It will it will work again in the same way. You create you work on your transport. So Cloud ALM also has TOCs, transport of copies concept now. Earlier it was not there. So now you can work with transport of copies. So when you hand over to test, so the TOCs move, and eventually when you move to production, the transport will move. So in that way, you have a control that only one set of transport, the one transport. You don't have to have, in each iteration of, the testing and defect getting created. So you have multiple transports, and then you lose track of, okay, which is the, which transport is actually supposed to move in production eventually. It's rather good to have only one transport move than multiple transports. So in that way, that helps. So this is one feature which came recently within Cloud ALM. Earlier it was not there. Like transports was not there. They gave the option to create transports. The similar TOCs were not there. Now they have the option to have create TOCs for the transport. But again, for that, like for creation of transport, you have to do one piece of configuration, which your basis team will do in your system. Similarly, for TOCs also, you have to do one piece of configuration which your basis team will do. You don't have to do anything. Basis team will do, and then TOCs would get created for your transports, and you can.
So in this demo system, when we're creating transport, so it is not doing any validation. So I actually created one without any validation. So it's because of demo, or
it is because of demo, because you need backend systems, right? So right. This demo system probably doesn't have. I mean, even if it has demo systems, so those are also, like even it has some managed system connector. Those are also probably demo system which are with SAP, and probably they have not configured, that. So that's right. But in ideal scenario, it's a one piece which basis will do, and once you just click on like create a transport, it will create a transport. It will show and this transport field will get populated with the transports created. So it's very automatic. It's not going to create a dummy or a filler. It will create an actual transport, and these transports will actually show up here. Okay.
Would it go to something similar to your SC01, or it's completely? I mean, not to the system, but would it have a similar cockpit like transport?
Yeah, same. The same type of transport. It's just that.
No. What I'm asking is, would it like go to a window where you see something like SC01 or something?
No. In here only it will. You'll.
Okay. What I'm asking is, it won't go to SC01. Like, would the screen be something similar to that?
No, not similar. It would be like just you. It will ask you
just directly. Okay.
Customizing workbench. Yes. Just like the one thing another. Just it's here only, no screen related to SC01. It will just ask you transport. If the configuration is completed, it will just ask you create. It'll show you the system where it is creating workbench customizing. You just yes, okay, confirm, and it will create, and then it will get populated here in this table. Okay.
Yeah, approval thing, na? Like you have approved handover to test, move to production.
Yeah.
The responsible person is Adam admin, right? Of this feature. Right. So Agatha is approving it. Correct.
I'm logged in through Agatha.
I mean, Agatha has the authorization to approve it.
Right.
Correct. Okay. So Adam will not have. Who is the responsible person will not have the authority to approve. Right.
Means in Cloud ALM still, that because the authorization or the access is role based. Like if you have a role of a, they have given a change manager role, so you can approve or not.
Yeah, for
You
example,
can't, yeah, you can't
Adam is
limit
a
it.
consultant. Okay, I am a consultant. I have been given a role of Adam, like the consultant one, and
Right.
you being, for example, you are the manager and you have given the role of Agatha, the manager role. So when I create a TR here, like we have done now, when I create a TR, so I will not have the authority to like do the approvals. I'll again come back to you. I'll just mail you or take something. Then you will come to the feature part and you will do the approval.
Correct.
You got my point?
Correct. Yes.
Is
Yeah.
it that
Yes.
case?
Yes, that
It
is
is like
the
that only?
case. Yeah, but yeah, it is the case. But let's suppose, because work stream lead, let's suppose you are given the role of work stream lead. So work stream leads have access to approve all the, because we still don't have the authorization object concept in Cloud ALM. So for that, that's why I was saying that you know write to your work stream lead from SI or from your team or from the client will net, please approve it. So he will log in, he or she will log in and will approve it, right? So when for so so that will work, yeah. But yeah, there is no like that authorization object, to control it, that okay, this person only can
But
approve.
the
But
role will control it, right?
yeah,
The role will
role will control it, yeah. Yeah, but it could be, that role is assigned to maybe 10 people and you want your approval from only, out of those 10, only 3 persons. So in that case, you just have to make sure, means obviously you just mail them, they log in and they'll approve it, and you can check in the history whether it was approved by the concerned person or just. So yeah, as I said, because the approval flow is still not very mature in Cloud ALM. So that these are one of few of the shortcomings. Okay.
the workflow thing, right?
Yeah, it's still not
Okay.
very mature.
Can you just go to the additional information tab once, please?
Yeah.
Okay, tax we can fine.
Tax is something you can like. Okay.
Okay. No, thanks.